Hey everyone, welcome back to the Saturday SITREP. My name is CB Harris, and Grant is joining me again today for the Saturday SITREP. And today we're going to do a top three actually, but each of us will have three. And these are going to be lessons learned from some of our students, some of the classes, and things like that. So, yeah, I guess it's a top six or top three.
Top six, top three
like
each. Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I'm going to start us out. I think one of them for me is if you're going to get out of your vehicle for a firefight or something like that, put your vehicle in park. Put on the emergency brake, maybe, something.
Yeah.
Because otherwise that vehicle is probably going to leave the fight.
Yeah.
And you've lost your cover, you've lost your mode of transportation, and you may actually take something out that you probably don't want to happen. Right?
Yeah,
so,
and then, for a concealed carry aspect, if I am engaged in something, I get out of my vehicle and, like you said, take something out that you're not intending to, or even law enforcement officer, military, anything, if that vehicle goes and collides into something, whether it's in a training environment or real world, you're responsible for that. You're expected to have put that vehicle in park, and you get out to engage a target, you're pulling a gun, and that's what you're worried about. You could very easily, a vehicle's a large thing, you could harm someone else with that.
Could kill somebody.
You could kill somebody, yeah, very easily.
So, I know, it's one of those things that when you're, in the heat of the moment, it's hard to remember to do everything, but definitely put your vehicle in park. If you got to get out, for whatever reason, put it in park. Yes, that is something that students need to learn too.
Everybody, probably.
Yes. Okay.
So one of the ones that I've seen probably the most, and it kind of ties in with that, is social acceptability in our training aspect as well as, in a gunfight. So we talk about in training, we build these training scars. There's an FBI incident that you can go back and reference, and their training scar was they'd go and they'd shoot, and then they'd instantly pick up their brass and put it in their pocket. And when they went to go serve a high-risk warrant, they show up, individual responds with a gun, they start to shoot from cover, and they'd shoot, and then they'd come out from behind their cover to pick up their brass because they had that training scar. So when we're doing any type of training, whether you're going to a class or you're hosting a class or you're just training yourself on the range, don't let your social aspect or people around you affect the way that you're training. I think we see that a lot. Or individuals that there's traffic cones, and they allow those traffic cones to be a limiting factor when they go to position a vehicle for cover, whether it's law enforcement or military responding to something. You see quite often, because we're used to guiding in with those cones, they'll stay within those cones, and it leads them towards a position of less advantage.
It's something completely unrelated, but it is affecting their choices.
Yes.
So
yes,
it's just things that they're so used to seeing throughout their day-to-day life or doing that they end up doing it even in the heat of the moment.
Yes.
Kind of goes to that, that the combat mindset of thinking things that you really have to. You have to understand how your brain works and understand that there are things that you might not. You think you're going to do it right, but you may not. So
yeah.
And I think that actually some of our list here today, there's going to be a few more like that.
Yes.
So.
Yes, there will be.
And in fact, let's talk about that. So, don't let anger limit your training. We've had students get very upset, throwing stuff down, and you know what? They stop learning completely. They're mad because they feel like they've been slighted in some way. Either they got yelled at, maybe, told that they were doing something wrong, and they get upset about it. They don't agree with it, or they're angry about it, and they stop learning. And unfortunately, that happens. It happens in our day-to-day life too. I think if I go out to the range and I'm having a bad day on the range, you know what? Maybe I just need to stop, take a breath. Maybe just maybe disassemble my handgun, clean it a little bit. Just get my mind off of whatever's bothering me, and then maybe get back into it. Or maybe I need to call it a day. Because if I'm not learning anymore, if I'm just angry and emotional, it's not doing me any good at all.
And then you have people that, luckily in the military world, we are exposed to lots of training. We get to go to lots of training. It doesn't cost us anything. It's the expense of the government. We have a lot of people now, especially in the gun community, that are trying to enhance their training, and they're going to Haley strategic training for hundreds of dollars, or they're going to, even more local training for a few $100s here. plus the cost of ammo that amps up that amount. And if you go into that angry mindset and you don't allow yourself to gain all that information, that's hundreds of dollars wasted.
Right.
Because you couldn't just control your emotions. So.
Right. And I think, looking at it from that aspect, if you're paying money for training, even if you don't agree with what the instructor is telling you, as long as there's not a safety issue, just go with it. Okay, I don't necessarily agree with you, but I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to learn what I can. Maybe you'll understand more as things progress. Maybe you won't. Maybe you'll get home and you'll be like, I'm not going to do that, and that's your choice. But at least you learned what it was, so that you have that option to accept it or not. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So
yes.
I think that's a very important thing to remember. So.
Yeah, and then when we're talking about training, one of the big ones for me was people actually using their sights. We have a lot of times that students come through, or we've seen it when we've gone to training. A lot of people get into the moment and they aren't holding their weapon properly, whether it's a handgun or a rifle. They're not holding it properly to begin with. And as things progress and they become tired and fatigued throughout the training, it goes even further away. And with every round that we fire, we're accountable for where those rounds go. Whether it's an active shooter situation or whether it's a full-on firefight, we're accountable for every round. And because of that, people aren't using their sights, or they're taking a very long time to get on sights, which leads them to then take inaccurate shots. And one, you're wasting ammo. You're sending ammo that you need for that fight to somewhere where it's not effective. Or two, that round could potentially be going into a civilian or a target, a piece of equipment, something vital. That, once again, going back to that parked car, something that you're accountable for, and you could potentially have to be paying for in damages.
Absolutely. I think one of the reasons why people do that is I see people often, they're so focused on the enemy that they're looking over the top of their sights.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, what that usually means is they'll have the front sight up near there, but the rear sight's down here, so they're shooting over the target completely. Yeah. And because they're not paying attention. It's just, they're too focused on the threat, which is a good thing, I guess. But at the same time, you got to get those sights on that threat. That's, red dots, I think, really help a lot with that. I really do. Because it's easy to put that dot on a threat. It helps with that aspect. As far as CCW goes, though, most, especially small handguns, you're not going to put an RMR on there. I mean, a full size one, sure, but I don't even think they make anything for a Glock 43 that you could mount up on there. It'd be huge on top.
That would be pretty cool to see, though.
It would be interesting to see.
Yes, it would,
for sure.
And with that as well, just the use of the sights. If you're not actively aiming down your sights, then especially in a CCW situation like you're talking about with that Glock 43, if I'm not aiming down those sights, chances are you're in a populated area anyways, where there's civilians. It's not like a military operation where you're going in, there's large amounts of bad guys and almost everyone's a bad guy there. But if I'm in a supermarket and something happens, who knows who's behind the next shelf. And that shelf isn't going to be stopping my 9mm round. So, that box of cereal. So I want to make sure that I'm actively engaging that target and not just spraying those bullets.
Absolutely. And, with that short sight radius, it's a whole lot easier to be way off.
Yes.
So you really need to pay attention to that. So definitely use your sights.
Yes.
And your fundamentals.
Yes.
Definitely something you got to use.
Very much.
Okay. My last one is don't carry gear that you're not going to use. Okay, if you're this one's a very specific one to a class recently.
Yes.
We've had this discussion. There was a guy carrying, had a whole, pretty much a war belt going on, and not a single thing in there. He's got a holster, he's got pouches, and he's got nothing there.
Absolutely.
It's just extra weight and pretty much pointless to even have it.
Yes.
I really think that on the civilian side of things that it's the same type of thing. I'm not going to name names, but there is a person who does some videos. I've seen a couple of videos. I think on Instagram is where I was thinking of. But carries a full blowout kit everywhere he goes. He's got it in pockets and things like that. And, I get it. You want to be prepared for those situations. But I think, not that you can be over-prepared, but I think that, if you're on If you're just running into the grocery store and you've got a full blowout kit, you almost are limiting yourself more because you've got extra bulk. You're not going to be able to run as fast. You've got a big old medical kit slapping against your thigh or something like that. I think you can go too far with equipment loadout.
And sure. I completely agree, and I think that you just have to think about the situation realistically. In the military we talk about the good idea fairy, and when you have so much time and ample time and nothing's happening, you start thinking about it. I used to carry a 1911 for concealed carry, and I'd carry 4 10-round extended mags for it. I was new to carrying a gun. I wasn't really thinking about it, and I was like, yeah, more ammo, of course, that's what I want.
But which is easy to understand.
Yeah, but did I really need... I really had to dress to the gun at that point. It was a 1911 with extended magazines that I just had to... It didn't make sense necessarily for the situations I was involving myself in.
Right.
And I think that there's something to be said with carrying that much ammo for maybe private security or something along those lines.
Right, and given the situation too, I mean, am I going to the grocery store, or am I, is it going into the bad part of town at night, type of thing? Maybe you need to do a little risk management, try to figure out what exactly it is you need for that situation. So
yes.
Every situation is going to be different. Now, it is nice to be prepared. So I'm a firm believer in carrying lots of things in your vehicle, because you have that place to come back to if you need to, if you're able, obviously. But I have a full blowout kit and medical kit in my vehicle, so I can come back to that. But if I can get away with just carrying a tourniquet in my pocket, why not?
Exactly. And we talk about the castle doctrine of you can defend your home and your castle, but I've also heard a lot of people talk about almost a return to castle kit. I'm carrying on me what I need right away to be able to get back to my vehicle, which has my blowout kit and has more ammo and maybe has a rifle in it. And then whatever's in my vehicle is enough to be able to sustain me and get me back to home if a situation really went to that extreme,
Right. And I have no problem being prepared at all. I just think that you need to take a good hard look at what you're carrying and determine if you're really going to use it. And if you're really probably not going to use it, maybe consider not carrying it.
Yes.
Or consider some other form, things that maybe have dual use, something like that. So.
Exactly. And that kind of leads into since we've talked about equipment, that leads into my last main point that I've seen a lot is knowing your equipment and then where you're placing that equipment. So a very common one for a lot of us is knives. A lot of people own a lot of different knives and carry a lot of different knives, but I've seen a lot of people not really think about where they're putting that knife. They take the knife and they throw it in a pocket. And then even in a simple situation, I need to cut open this box, you see them digging through pockets trying to find that. Now, if I am going to be prepared and I'm going to carry a tourniquet on me, for instance, I want to make sure I put that in the same place every time so when I go to reach for it, I'm able to get it. I'm able to get it out and I'm able to use it fast and effectively. Same with ammunition. We see people for concealed carry that just take a magazine. They don't put it in a pouch or anything like that. They just throw it in a pocket. Well, the second I put it in a pocket, I put my keys in the same pocket, my phone in the same pocket. Now if I have a slide lock reload I have to do, I'm in the middle of a fight, I'm digging through and fishing out all of that stuff to try to get it.
Right, and it's probably upside down and,
Yeah, it's all cattywampus and...
keys are wedged in there and things just aren't... Yeah. No, I understand what you're saying completely. People tend to, not plan things out. It's not illogical. And I know I've done it before too, just not thinking out my gear. And usually it works its way out eventually as I start to carry it. I figure out what works and what doesn't work. And, unfortunately, that's sometimes is the way you have to do it. Hopefully, you can figure that out at the range, as opposed to in the real world. But figure out what works. And I'm a firm believer in if I'm going to carry in one spot, that's where I'm going to carry. I mean, you can pick a couple maybe, but the more places that you carry, I carry appendix sometimes, I carry on my ankle, eventually you're going to be confused. I mean, yeah, you can feel where your gun is, but if you're being shot at, your brain tends to take a hike, and suddenly, all right, where am I carrying today? If you're fishing around for your handgun, and you don't know where it is because you've completely lost focus, it's easier if you carry in the same spot every time.
Yes.
So.
And with everything that, we're talking about, carrying a gun and stuff like that, it is truly a time is life situation. So every second is going to count. And, it could even be if you're one of those people that does carry a blowout kit, now you're having to dress to that blowout kit. So if I wear jeans, just regular jeans that have 4 pockets on them, I need whatever I'm going to carry to fit and work with these 4 pockets. And it can't be well, today I'm going to wear cargo pants and I'm going to fill up those cargo pockets with a blowout kit or something along those lines. And then tomorrow I'm wearing jeans and now I'm going to have to try to find a new place to put that blowout kit.
Right, it's going to be different.
It's going to be different, which is going to take more time. Yeah, exactly. So think about how your life is. Oh, today I'm prepared. I'm going to wear those cargo pants, and tomorrow I just feel like being lazy around the house. You have to have that same preparedness all the time. If you're going to wear jeans, almost all pants have that 4-pocket layout. Right. Make it fit to that 4-pocket layout, or have some type of pouch system that you can attach to a belt, whether it's a holster or mag carrier or something along those lines.
And going along with that, I guess, if you got a big old utility belt, you're not being very subtle, shall we say.
No.
I understand that it may not be your handgun that's printing, but if you got a big old medical pouch and handcuff pouches and all that kind of stuff.
Even magazines.
Magazines, yeah. Those are printing as well, so that's just more stuff to possibly kind of give things away. So definitely going to be careful with that as well.
Yes, I completely agree.
All right. You got anything else?
No, that's it.
All right. So anyway, that is our list of our top 3 each lessons learned from recent classes that we've had. So let us know what you guys think of this list. If you guys have something that you want to add to this list that you think that is a good lesson to be aware of, please leave it down in the comment section. We would love to hear from you guys. And if you are not a subscriber and you want to see more videos like this one, find that subscribe button right down below, put your crosshairs on it, pull the trigger on your mouse, and then come back next Saturday for another Saturday SITREP. Remember that your mind, that is your most important weapon, and it's vital to be armed with information. Till next time, take care and be safe. Charlie Bravo out.
Emmy.
And him.